Have you ever went into a forest, tried to look for sticks and failed at it? That's DayZ. Have you ever gone to an apple tree full of apples and failed to pull an apple from them? That's DayZ. Have you ever killed yourself by shutting a door on yourself? That's DayZ.
The recipe for a successful game is simple. Bring a product relatively bug-free, maybe add a story mode, you don't have to though. Try not to insult the fanbase and the masses will consume your product and call it art. But what happens when a game strays from the path of mediocrity and succeeds regardless? DayZ is a game known for its uniqueness. It's one of those games where people tolerate the incompleteness of it all in favor of the experience, which can only be found in DayZ. You'll regularly come across seasoned players making statements about the fact that the game kinda sucks.
I'm fine with you digging into me about how shitty DayZ is, but this is my most played game on Steam. I have so many hours on this game, it's unhealthy. No, I lagged out already! Oh no! Welcome to fucking DayZ. Okay, I lagged out of the game. It's okay. It's a good game. It's a good game, just remember that.
Still, those same players have almost always put in hundreds of hours in the game with no plans of stopping. The game is flawed, yes, but succeeds regardless. Why? To say DayZ has had some rocky years, that would be putting it mildly. Launching with a peak of 45,000 players to then start off 2018 with about 5 is an insane decline, only to then beat the odds, come back and reach beyond those numbers, and in 2023 get a peak of 63,040 players. The story of DayZ is of broken promises, mismanagement and a dream far-reaching in its scope. How has DayZ survived for this long and continued to thrive? DayZ as a concept was first made into a reality in 2012, developed as an Arma 2 mod single-handedly by Dean Hall, and was Hall's suggestion for training soldiers through exposure to situations provoking emotion and relevant thought processes. He's described the mod as something of an anti-game, as it broke what he felt were generally considered to be basic rules of game design, such as balance and not frustrating users. And from these statements alone, you'd think that DayZ would turn out to be a failure. Right? An anti-game by definition could never succeed in entertaining a large crowd, and following the basics of game design should be a given for game to even begin to amass a following. Well, DayZ the Arma 2 mod just 3 months after release had registered more than 1 million unique users. It was credited for over 300,000 sales of Arma 2 within 2 months of the mod's release, and was responsible for putting a 3-year-old game in the top selling chart on Steam for weeks. The CEO of Bohemia Interactive said the mod was directly responsible for sales of the game, and that the mod could stand on its own as a gaming experience. The mod would immediately become an instant classic. Everybody who played it would tell you that they knew this was special. And although it suffered from a few technical difficulties, people were willing to suffer through them for the experience alone. With the success of the mod, a standalone version was bound to enter development sooner rather than later, and it did. The mod was going to be made into its own game with Bohemia Interactive as the developer. They also hired Dean Hall as the project lead. The game was announced to be following the early access development model, meaning that numerous iterations of the game would be made, whilst users could gain early access to the alpha version for a discounted price. Hall said that the deal was a fairy tale. With the benefits of hindsight, we know that by now early access has left a sour taste in most people's mouths, with many viewing the model as a way for developers to earn a quick buck off the player base, only to then subsequently abandon them once the money dries up. Back then, early access really wasn't as frowned upon. Whilst today the most infamous early access titles include DayZ, PUBG, and Star Citizen, all games with a controversial past, when DayZ first entered early access, the most renowned title to have gone in a similar direction was Minecraft, which at the time was beginning to reach its all-time peak in popularity, with a project following the early access model. The next step in the development process was inevitable. Now it's time for the promises to begin. They were developing a new engine from the ground up. Going standalone would make it so they'd be better equipped to deal with hackers, and it was all just around the corner. Work on standalone would officially begin in 2012, with Hall's personal release date of quote-unquote something set at the end of the year. And if that doesn't happen, then something's gone wrong. 2012 would come and go, and believe it or not, DayZ would not be released, missing its original release date of Christmas 2012. According to Dean, this was because the game had reached beyond its initial plans of just being the mod, but a standalone version. Put simply, DayZ standalone isn't here because we had the chance to go from making a game that was just the mod improved slightly, packaged simply and sold, to actually redeveloping the engine, and making the game the way we all dreamed it could be. This blew any initial plans we had dictated to pieces. This was the first signs of development troubles rearing its ugly head, and with the powers of hindsight, we know that it wasn't going to be the last. But at this point in the timeline, we're still in the forgiving era of DayZ's development, so the response to the delay was exceedingly positive and understanding. People wanted this game, but they wanted it done right, so they decided to put their trust in Dean Hall and Bohemia. He may have gotten the year wrong, but he was right that the game would release at Christmas, because on December 16, 2013, the first publicly available development build was released. But before that, Dean Hall made sure to clearly state that this is going to be an early access project on Steam. It's a true blue alpha. Massive areas of the engine were entirely reworked, involving a large team of people over the last 12 months. Much of what these achievements will enable won't be seen for many months. Watch streams, read reviews, watch some let's plays and form your own opinion. You could always come back to the game in 3 to 6 months time and buy it then. Buying early will be a recipe for disappointment. This would end up being very true, as the state of DayZ on launch was less than ideal. But as the developers made clear, those issues would eventually be fixed, and until then, they encouraged those on the fence to wait for standalone to reach a more acceptable state of polish. And surprisingly, for a game called DayZ, there was a surprising lack of C's. 4 days post-launch, Frankie on PC posted his first DayZ standalone video, 36 minutes of DayZ gameplay, and I was curious, so I counted, and in that video, he managed to kill 1 zombie, and in total ran into 2. This was a very common complaint, since DayZ was known as a zombie survival game, and the lack of zombies kind of ruined that concept completely. So why was this? Well, they were kinda, sorta, completely broken at the time.
I mean, there aren't many zombies in at the moment. In the mod, I think it's sort of, I don't know if there's some sort of network issue or something like that. They will add more in, but I would be surprised if we perhaps see a couple of zombies.
But hey, it's only an alpha. With time, things are gonna improve. Comparing the Minecraft alpha to the final release, the difference is palpable, and they said they were following the Minecraft formula. What could possibly go wrong with that? It just needs 2, maybe 4 years of active development, and things are gonna improve, I'm sure of it. In fact, I'll prove it to you. Let's skip forward in time. Alright, 4 years after release, on December 9, 2017, this was the state of DayZ.
The game has already peaked. DayZ is a game with a prolific legacy. It inspired some really awesome games, and caused a huge boom in the hardcore survival genre. Unfortunately, it was left in the hands of people that didn't build on what the original mod accomplished. I hate to say it, but DayZ is dead, and it isn't coming back.
The attitude towards DayZ had definitely shifted. The people were frustrated. The game was just not coming along at a pace deemed acceptable. Complaints about the development process had increased with each passing year.
Like, you have to understand from both like a management perspective and from somebody that plays the game, it looks fucking retarded to have 50 million different types of pants and clothes and guns and shit when the core game is still broke as fuck. Like, it looks bad, and it is bad, and it's stupid. It's a poor allocation of resources, and it shows bad planning.
But that was far from the only complaint. The community was reaching its breaking point, and with that, so did the content creators. Complaining about DayZ was beginning to feel more rewarding than actually playing the thing, so they did just that.
So, people wanted me to talk about the current state of DayZ, what I think about what's going on with the game, and why I haven't been actively playing it. So the first thing I want to get into is their decision making. It makes no sense, some of these things. Like, why are stuff like the broom and the meat tenderizer in the game? Like, what purpose do they serve? It's completely useless as an item in a game like this. It doesn't do anything. Like, you actually put your people on developing something like that, which has no purpose in the game whatsoever. In an early access title where things have been slow, people have been complaining about the pace of the development team, the lack of content, and you focus on stuff like that, it makes no sense. There's so many other things that should have had priority, and it's so sad because you have such a perfect example of what the game should be, which is Arma 2 DayZ mod. It's like a proven example of how you should make the game in the first place. I don't get why they don't focus on making that in standalone, working, and then work on other stuff, adding stuff. And the final point I'm gonna make is a fact about the roadmaps that they communicated to the customers, to the players of DayZ for such a long time. There were different roadmaps made in 2014 and 2015, and they were just complete bullshit. Like half of that stuff that was in those roadmaps is still not there. For example, aerial vehicles in Q3 of 2015. 2015! We're in 2017 now, man. What the fuck? And then they say like their excuse is that these were just internal roadmaps. Well, keep them internal then. Don't fucking tell people that that's your fucking roadmap, because they're gonna be thinking that's the actual roadmap.
And how did the dev team respond to this? Well, Dean Hall, for instance, he left to climb Mount Everest. I forgot to say that. He just left, leaving the rest of the team to conjure up a well-spoken and mature response to the criticism coming their way. They just blocked everyone on Twitter. DayZ had now been in development for well over 4 years. 2017 was by far the biggest low point for the game. Almost everyone who'd fallen in love with DayZ had left by now, and only a few thousand remained. DayZ had officially fallen off. But then, the impossible happened. After 5 years in development, on December 13th, 2018, DayZ 1.0 officially launched. The announcement was met with a somewhat mixed reaction at first, with some doubting that the game was ready to be released. But that's not to downplay the other side of the coin this announcement was met with, which was support. And this wasn't just talk, because following the launch, DayZ immediately saw a massive spike in players. A big part of the player base was coming back, out of curiosity to see what the final product looked like. With 2019 just around the corner, DayZ was looking at a possible comeback. Going into 2019, DayZ would start off having lost a bit of the momentum of the previous month, but that was to be expected. It was the next few months that no one saw coming. Following release, something odd happened. The game began gaining players. To put into perspective just how out of the ordinary this was, the last time DayZ's player count reached above 10,000 concurrent players was in the beginning of 2017. Add that together with the fact that they just experienced their lowest month ever at 3,292 concurrent players in August. Following March of 2019, DayZ has never reached below 10,000 concurrent players since. In 2019, the game would also be released on both Xbox and PlayStation, making it so that an entirely new audience that never even got to buy into the DayZ Alpha was able to experience it. Today, DayZ is more popular than it's ever been. Why is that? What happened? What makes DayZ so popular today? I think it's a combination of 4 things. A big part is the fact that the developers actually delivered the game. It might not have everything, but they still delivered a product, which is already more than what some people expected.
Because it's early access, they've already collected those 3 million copies worth of cash. For them, developing DayZ is just a waste of time and money, which explains why they seem so hell-bent on bringing the game to console. The console market is the only place where they can make any more money off the game. Continued development on the PC version of DayZ is not going to bring in any new players. The game has already peaked.
DayZ leaving early access can be seen as having had a huge impact on the player count. Many people were interested to see what the game had become, and with all the success that has followed the game since leaving early access, it seems that people like what they saw. Another part can also be attributed to the community, who even though they definitely talked a lot of shit, they sure were able to back it up as well. Modded DayZ is extremely popular. Some servers make simple changes to the gameplay that many prefer, whilst others reimagine what DayZ is supposed to be. Your options are almost unlimited, and on top of that, other community members have even gone as far as to create entire maps of their own, with Normals being a clear favorite, with some even preferring it to the original DayZ map. But that's not even the only way that the community has contributed positively to the game's success, because as DayZ's reputation improved, so did the types of videos that were being made and uploaded to YouTube. DayZ was a game that in the past definitely profited off the content that creators made of it, showing off the unique experiences of DayZ, which then piqued the viewers' interest, hopefully resulting in them seeking out the game. But as its reputation rotted away, so did most of the positive DayZ videos, leaving mostly just critiques of the game, how it's being handled, and why it fell off. But with DayZ's release, subsequent console launch, and with the addition of community servers, it was an amazing time to begin creating DayZ videos. And many people did. This of course positively attracted many more eyes to the game, prompting the game to grow even more, which led us to today. In January of 2023, DayZ officially peaked in popularity with 63,040 concurrent players. It's now been 4 years since the official launch of Standalone, and 10 years since the DayZ mod, and the game is somehow still relevant. As I've said, there are many reasons for this. The main and the simplest is because the game delivers unique and memorable experiences that stick with you.
Hello? Hey,
Hi, sir.
hi, are you friendly?
Oh, I'm friendly. I just spawned.
Me too.
I keep getting killed by a bunch of dickheads, dude.
Yeah, I was just with somebody and I was sniped in the head, so...
Yeah, me too. I got sniped by somebody right in the head too. It was terrible. Well, where are you going? Where are you planning on like heading to?
Honestly, I have no idea.
I'm really just trying to find a nice gear set. Just a gun or two so I can kill some of these people that have been roaming the coast and killing all these fresh spawns. Yeah. I may or may not need food for that.
What the? No! Listen, I have a family, man. I have a family.
Dude, we all got a family, man.
Please.
We all got a family. I gotta feed my kids, dog. I gotta feed my
My daughter's terminally ill. Please.
Oh man, gotta make me feel bad about it.
Listen, she's not gonna make it 5 days. I need to see her again.
Hey, neither are you, buddy.
Please. Fuck. Shit. Help!